Advocate Nishant Anand. Advocate Nishant Anand is an independent practitioner and the proud author of a book published in 2016 called Women in India, The Problem of the Missing Girl Child. He has key expertise in the field of civil law, employment laws, and matrimonial laws. He has also done internships with senior advocates, judges, and well-known law firms. His CV is something we all can be really jealous of. So, Sir has also been a keynote speaker in many seminars and recently in many webinars, where he shared his knowledge in law. We are so excited to have you on your show, sir. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Muskan. It's a pleasure to come up on your screen and to come up on your website and your channel and to add upon something for the future generation lawyers.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. So this is our second show and we were just hoping for a very candid conversation with you about your journey in law. And we've always been really enthusiastic to get people here who really accomplished. And I can see from your LinkedIn, and everybody can reach you out on your LinkedIn of how accomplished you are. So we're really glad to have you. Also, so let's go ahead with the straightaway question that why did you choose law?
Well, in the year 2006, 2007, I was never someone who wanted to be making my journey in the field of law. It was my father who pushed me to take up law as a career. And definitely, yes, he also had certain questions in mind that we being the first generation lawyers and, I mean, my son is going to be the first generation lawyer. No one in the entire family, in the entire friend circle, we did not have someone who was a lawyer. But yet he wanted me to take up the professional course of BLLB or probably an integrated course of BBLLB wherever I could have made my hands on. Subsequent to that, after I finished with my board exams of class 12, I appeared in the CLAT examination. I had almost made up to the Patiala Law College, which is the national law, which comes in the league of the national law colleges. But since Patiala Law College was comparatively new and it only had one batch which had entered the college, I had my own skeptical doubt whether I should go in, I should not go. Second, one of the reasons why I joined in Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, which is affiliated to the IP University, was that it was based out of Delhi and it was much close to my place. So I would have that comfort to stay at my place and at the back end complete my BLLB program. Started in 2008, I graduated in the year 2013. First 2.5, 3 years of college life, as a normal regular student of a college life, I used to enjoy my life, never that serious about the field of law. And subsequent to, 2010, 11, I became a little more focused after I did my first internship at the Rohini District Court. So I would like to thank Mr. Pradeep Rana, who was my mentor when I first joined my internship, and he basically expertises in the field of criminal law. Subsequent to that, I became a little more serious towards my internships, sought permission from my college professors who were very kind enough to have granted me that permission. So I used to attend about 3 lectures and then post lunch I used to go in for my internships on a regular basis.
When did you do the first internship then?
My first internship was way back in the year 2010. But that was a compulsory internship that we had to do in our 5th semester. So I did that with Mr. MP Vinod, and I was also associated with Mr. V.V. Giri. He's a senior advocate, Supreme Court of India. And at that point of time, I'll be very honest with you, I had no clue as to what the court procedures are. I had no clue as to how do we read a file. But since it was a compulsory internship, we had to undergo. So I did it for about 40 days before the Supreme Court went on a vacation. And the main work that, the main task that we used to get was reading across the files. If we could lay our hands onto a good meeting that the senior was doing, we could be a participant to it. And mostly watching court proceedings sitting in the court. So apart from that, I never knew up till my 3rd year of college as to what research was, as to how do you take up a file, how do you research on a particular topic, how do you frame a question of law. So, I was completely clueless as to it. So after that, 2011 was the time when I actually, that is post my 6th semester in college. I actually became serious, and we had law subjects coming around. The BA subjects had come to an end,
Right.
and then it was the time when I first interned at Pradeep Rana and Associates. That was
Hmm.
Rohini District Court. I actually learned as to how a fresh matter is filed,
Hmm.
what are the technicalities that are involved. Subsequent to that, the what is the approach that the lawyer should have once he meets a new client.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, I heard Mr. Rana and his associates arguing bail matters, doing pure criminal trial matters, what actually murder, rape, and all these grievous
Hmm.
offenses are. So I actually got a first-hand experience while I was interning with him.
Hmm.
I continued the internship for about a month's period. And thereafter, in the same year, I went back to him for a part internship for another month.
Okay.
So I had briefly a fair idea as to how things start working in the trial court.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, whenever I got a next chance of doing an internship, that was also in 2011.
Hmm.
I interned as a law researcher with Justice Veena Birbal. She was a sitting High Court judge. Subsequent to that, she was also the president of the State Commission, and now she's doing a lot of arbitrations these days.
Okay. Hmm.
So I worked with her. Obviously, that was the first experience which actually made up my mind that this is the field I want to work in.
Hmm.
When assisting her in the matters, flagging the case briefs, preparing notes, doing a lot of extensive research, sitting in the court, observing both the lawyers from each side arguing their own case. So it gives you a clarity as to how a matter has to be approached, how it has to be worked upon, what are the defenses that the other side raised, what are the court tactics, the court crafts. This is something what I had got a first-hand experience of. And
Right.
definitely, yes, I would like to thank Justice Veena Birbal for all the support that she has given me. She has encouraged me, and I worked with her for almost good span of about 5-6 months.
Oh, that
So
was your breakthrough period where
that
you
was my
thought that.
breakthrough. That was my breakthrough period. Did,
Yeah.
did a couple of months as full-time internship, then
Hmm.
couple of months as a part-time internship. Subsequent to that, she used to allow me to go over weekends and assist her in the matters. So I mean, it was a good time period that I had with her for about 6 months.
Okay. And did
Subsequent,
you see any kind of I can see that whenever I go to court, there are some ways like I went to Bombay High Court a lot, and
yes,
I saw that there was a lot of theatrics that come with going there, and people they are actually very some advocates are very actorish type. They always like try to act things out and do something.
absolutely. See, what I've learned over a period of time is, you should have a good court craft.
Right.
So once you're arguing out a matter and you aim at winning the matter for your client, or you aim at basically getting a good order for yourself, it's not always the knowledge that you have. It's about how you put it across to the bench.
Right.
So that involves what court craft is. And I would like to appreciate Mr. Kapil Sibal for it, because I've seen him arguing matters in the High Court and the Supreme Court. And the
Right.
court craft that he has, I mean, that is something we all need to learn. So
Right.
that is one example or probably that is one person I actually feel that I can learn something or the other every day from him.
Hmm.
Because I frequently see him arguing matters in the Supreme Court and the so I've seen him arguing. I've seen many other senior lawyers who are arguing, and I mean, I'll come to that later. That as to when I worked with Mr. Vishwanathan Shekhar for about 3 years, and he was the one who actually taught me what law basics are, how to go independent, how to fetch a client for yourself,
Hmm.
what does the client actually need to understand his need. So that is something what I was taught when I started working with him.
Can you
During
call him a mentor?
see, I'll say I have two mentors.
Okay.
First one was Mr. Raj Birbal. He is a
Hmm.
senior advocate practicing majorly in the Supreme Court and the High Court. And his expertise was in the field of labor and industrial laws.
Hmm.
So that was the first office wherein after I got enrolled with the bar, started practicing. Worked there
Right.
for about good 1.5, 2 years. Got a good first-hand experience of how to, how a senior is briefed, how does a senior prepare his files, what are the points that he looks into consideration, what to argue, what not to argue. That was something what I learned there. So
Hmm.
you may know 1,000 facts
Hmm.
that you want to put across to the bench, But once you're arguing a matter within a limited time frame, wherein you are given 30 minutes or 25 odd minutes to argue out a complete brief, or you maybe get about seconds when you argue an admission matter in the Supreme Court. So once you go that, what to argue and what pages to be referred, this is something you learn with experience.
Right.
That was the one that I worked with him about. And thereafter, for about working good about 2 months, 2 years with him rather, 2 years as a professional with him, I switched on to Mr. Vishwanathan Shekhar. He's a senior advocate and he was also ex-vice president of the Supreme Court Bar Association. So I was fortunate enough to have got placed with him.
Right.
And the first thing Mr. Vishwanathan Shekhar, while I gave my interview, was that he will not be giving me an X amount of money like the law firms pay me, or probably the law firms or in the current scenario or the MNCs in-house counsels pay you. But then he said, the more amount of work and the more amount of enthusiasm you put in this field, that's going to earn you a good amount of money. And then you will have to be patient in this field. So nothing comes overnight, what I've learned. And yes, I went on to his principles, tried working on his steps as far as I could have. And worked about for 3 years with him. Worked on many good matters. And in the meanwhile, I started developing my independent practice. He encouraged, he inculcated that thing in my mind that you need to develop. And he always had something to say, ki, एक बड़ा नीम का पेड़ होता है. So what he tried telling me was कि अगर मैं उस नीम के पेड़ के नीचे अपने आप को grow करूंगा, so I will never be in a position to expand my horizons. So one day I will have to leave that नीम का पेड़. I'll have to start establishing my own practice and doing that. Because अगर मैं उन्हीं के नीचे grow करता रहा, I will never earn a good name for myself. I will never earn an individual name for myself.
Right.
So he always said, Abhi, you are working under my guidance. I'm making you learn how to move across in this field of law. Simultaneously, he gave me a free hand. He helped me out building up my own matters, building up my own clients, obviously assisting him all through this while. And then, one fine day he said, now it's time that you should go independent, as you've put in almost 5 years as juniorship under various people in this field of law. So it's the appropriate time for you to start independent work.
Right.
I was a little skeptical at that time because by the time it was already 2017, I was a little skeptical that to go independent. Obviously, I had my own fears in mind because I did not have many independent matters with me at that point of time, number one. Number two, obviously, yes, how will I generate money? Number one.
Right.
How will I establish myself? Number two. How will I fetch clients? Number three. These were the primary concerns that I have. That I had, and anyone, I believe, of our age group or our field with the experience of about 7 to 10 years has these questions in mind going around.
Exactly.
Then I had my own doubts in mind. Can I go back after 7 years of, after putting in across 5 years into this profession back to my parents and say, I need financial support from your end. I need pocket money and stuff like this.
Right.
Then I briefly joined a firm called Khaitan and Partners.
Right.
I used to do independent practice once I left Mr. Shekhar, but then I wanted to have a corporate experience just before going independent so that I have a taste of it. So I joined the firm called Khaitan and Partners, Suman Jyoti Khaitan and Company, for about good 14 months. Both with them, got decently paid, to be honest with you, and got good exposure of doing matters across India. I went to, I appeared before the Jaipur High Court, the Jodhpur High Court, and various other matters before the Jodhpur District Forums.
Okay.
So I got a good exposure of various high courts while I was interning. I used to travel a lot for them for their outstation matters. Got independent opportunities to argue matters before National Commission, State Commission for them. Independent had to argue out the matter. I had a good brief time with them for about 14 months. Okay. Sometime in the end of 2018, the month of October, November, I then chose to go independent. Okay. Obviously, that was a struggle for me. obviously I'm very kind to the seniors and my colleagues who have been a constant support and who practice with me regularly now, who have built up that sense for, that to have given me that sense of confidence to go independent and start working. Started sometime in December 2018. I went completely independent. Initially, for about 6 months, I used to operate out of the chamber of my senior. And definitely, yes, I had a senior. I had college seniors out of whose office I used to operate. Subsequent to that, sometime in May 2019, April 2019, I thought of building up my own office. And it was then, I looked out for a couple of places. And then eventually, sometime in June 2019, I set up my own office in Defense Colony. I have been constantly supported by my colleagues and my friends for setting up this. And I have partners in my office who regularly, we all strive together of similar age group to struggle and establish a name for ourselves in the profession.
So so I was thinking that it's so tricky to think that you are a first generation lawyer. Absolutely. And also then setting up your own independent practice. So how difficult and how new was it for you?
See, things have been challenging right after I graduated from my law school, 2013. One thing was that it was a little difficult for me to establish myself in this field of law. Number two, what was more important was, or what was more troublesome for me, which I had to get out, was the fear to establish myself. I had that fear being the first generation lawyer. I do not have any connects in this field. Exactly. Being the first generation lawyer, it's difficult for me to build up my own practice. Right. Definitely, yes. One of the major reasons which has to be considered is the financial background. Leaving whatever my financial background is, if I as an individual see, it's really difficult for me, or it's really difficult for a young generation, first generation lawyer to establish or to probably, lead a life, I would rather say, in a meager sum of money that one used to get. So even if, I still remember the first stipend I used to get. I never called it a salary, and neither did neither did the seniors call the same. I first started way back in 2013 in about 7,000 rupees a month. So 7,000 was something. I mean, I had to run a car. I had my own expenses. And
exactly. And then it gets embarrassing to ask from your parents the money.
Definitely, yes. But yeah, my parents were supportive that time. Exactly. Subsequently went down to good 12,000 rupees a month, went to 15. And then I got some respite once I joined the law firm. But yes, managing my expenses and putting myself into the field of law, when I find something good that, I survived a time when I used to get 7,000. I survived a time when I used to get 15,000. So it keeps you to the roots.
Right.
And definitely, yes, thoda bahut kabhi, I also had personal experiences, what I had shared with my family and my friends and my colleagues. It at times become frustrating when you have no matters coming around, or probably, your expenses due to some odd reasons have, went on a higher side and your income is on a lower side. These are times which are frustrating. There are times, but then all what you need is patience.
Right.
So in law, what I feel is you have various steps in the ladder of what you have to cross. The first step is obviously 0 to 5 years of experience. Most of the people of my age, I hardly have about 15, 20 odd colleagues of mine whom I studied with in the law college who are into actual litigation now. Some have moved into academics, the other people have moved into corporates, and some people have led the field of law, started doing their own business and stuff like that. So, we had a batch of about good 150, 160 odd students. So out of them, I can only name about 20, 22 on my hand tips, which are actually practicing litigation.
Wow.
So it's a difficult thing to survive. And then after 5 years is the second challenge. That is the bracket that I am in right now, wherein one has to, establish into setting up his office, establish his career, make his work grow, make his earnings grow. So this is the second stage that I am in. But yes, there are challenges that I face even today. There are challenges that I've been facing. There might be challenges that I'll be facing tomorrow. But all you need is to be a little patient, because this field is gonna take a little time. I
Right.
would not rather, and I would rather say across very candidly that, you know, it's not only a battle, or it's not only a fight that the first generation lawyer has.
Mm.
Even for the people who are second generation, who are my age, who have graduated in 2013, 14, they have their own benchmarks, because if, you know, if some of the family members are well established lawyers, then, you know, people have that tendency to look upon, you know, he also has to meet that level. So they
Yeah.
have different challenges in life.
Right.
So, I mean, the only thing that one has to, I mean, learn patiently, slowly keep moving. That's
Mm.
what all I have.
Everybody has their own journey, and everybody has to go through their journey, as you said.
See,
So
someone who
I
sticks around in this profession, just
right.
a line, I'm sorry. If someone sticks around in this profession for good about 10, 15 years, everyone is going to make a mark for himself.
Okay.
The only thing is, someone will make a mark within 13 years, the other one is going to make a mark in 15 years. But anyone who survives in the field of profession for about 10 to 15 years
Mm.
will definitely succeed and establish in this profession. This is
After
what
coming
my
out of
personal
law
feeling
school.
is.
After coming out of law school, if they
After coming law school, if you want to practice as an independent practitioner, you
Mm.
will at least have to give 10 to 15 years to this profession. Because
Right.
our profession, interestingly, is something that the more number of experience you have, the more established you become, and the more money you can fetch. So you'll have to, you know, initially give 10 to 15 years into this profession.
Right. So
This
I
is
guess
what I feel.
everybody is waiting for their gray hair to come then.
Definitely, everyone will have a day. So you'll have to put in across your hard work.
Mm.
You'll have to actually, what my senior used to tell me, you'll have to leave the entire, I mean, you'll have to leave the world. You will
Mm.
have to meditate in the field of law for about good 5, 7, 10 years till you make a name for yourself.
Right.
Once you make a name for yourself, once, you know, your clients have that confidence in you, and once, you know, your colleagues have that confidence in you, once the court starts recognizing your hard work, I mean,
Mhm.
then it's something that you start moving across.
Right.
So the journey from there is going to become a little more easier. I
Mhm.
will only say a little more easier.
Okay.
Every day is a challenge for a lawyer.
Okay. Great. So we can take away from this is that you only need patience
You
to
need
get
patience,
Mm.
patience and perseverance. What
Right.
that's what I'll say.
Great.
And then
So I was thinking that how were you as a law student from right from first year to fifth year? How were you as a law student?
uh, I mean, the first 2 years of my college life, or maybe rather the first 2.5 years of my college life,
Mhm.
uh, I was never that serious about my studies. So, I
Mhm.
mean, though, you know, I used to clear all my examinations, all credits to my
Mhm.
teachers who used to push me, and all credits to my parents, or rather, I mean, the pressure of failing that I had at home. So, I
Right.
mean, that, you know, somehow I managed to clear my law exam. So, I mean, I was an average, mediocre student throughout my law school.
Mm.
Successfully was able to manage a percentage of about 72.4, the aggregate for the 5 years. So
Okay.
I mean, somehow I did it in my final year. But yeah, first 3 years of my college life I enjoyed, and then I became a little serious towards this profession.
Right. I heard that Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies is really exciting, and all these teachers and the environment there is really exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, we had that occasion of studying in the old campus, which was in Moti Nagar. Way
Right.
back,
Okay.
the first 3 years we studied in my old campus. I studied in my old campus, and you know that was much more interesting. Then
Okay.
Vivekananda Institute in my fourth year and the fifth year, I did it from the new campus that we have made up in Pitampura.
Okay.
And I mean, one thing that I can definitely say, that the faculty that we had in our law college, I
Mm.
think that was the best.
Mm.
So I
Did you
mean,
have Shilpa Khatri ma'am then?
yeah, I had Dr. Shilpa Khatri, and I mean, she was the one who used to save me. I mean,
She was
so,
amazing. I spent
she
even
used
my
to be the one
first
to
year
come
in
across.
VIPS only,
Yeah,
and she was amazing. She was an amazing teacher, and she was an inspiration for me as a woman. You know, the way she used to come in the class and take hold of the whole class and hold every child by their neck and tell them to study. I was really excited to
I
go.
mean, she was warm.
Yeah.
She was strict. I mean, she had all the qualities of a best lecturer, I
Yeah,
would rather say.
exactly. And so
And
much knowledge about sociology. She has taught me things that I never knew that happened in
an
India. And
inspiration for every one of us. I mean, she being into this field of academics for, I mean, good about 15 years now. But
mm,
still, I see her attending online lectures and then, advancing herself in the field of sociology. So this is something we need to learn from her. And,
mm,
it's the same way it's in the field of law. I
mm,
mean, you have to be updated every day.
mm,
You have to be updated every day, and you have to keep yourself brushed about the topics that you're regularly practicing in,
mm,
and current affairs, what is going around you. So
mm,
these are something you need to be always brushed up. So law field is not something, I mean, I understand that with the experience the tricks to argue out a matter, but then
mm,
you have to keep yourself updated as to what are the judgments that are coming across from various high courts of the state, what are the judgments coming across from the Supreme Court, at least in the field of law that you're practicing in. So
right.
you'll have to be updated in regard to this, because this is something you have to study every day. You have to keep brushing
Mm,
yourself every day. This
right.
is not a law college wherein, ek raat pehle ya do raat pehle, I mean, you open up your books, you open up your notes, and somehow you manage to clear your law exam. This is
Right.
something, I mean, I'm not still that developed that habit of reading every day.
Mm,
If I have to prepare for a matter, I will open up my laptop, I'll do a little research, I'll open up the reference books and do that. But I have still not developed that habit of reading every day.
mm, mm,
I mean, people of my age, or probably people who are just little, more experienced than me, they have that habit of reading every day. They
mm.
read judgments, they read references and stuff like that. But I'm in the process of developing that habit.
Okay.
So I keep myself updated from the regular news that's going around, maybe a
Mm,
newspaper or a legal magazine for that matter. But definitely, yes, I still have to develop that habit of going across through the judgments in my leisure time.
okay.
In my leisure time, I mean, if I have to prepare for a brief, so
Mhm,
yes, I have to prepare. I have to open up judgments. I have to open up references. But if
mm,
in my leisure time I need to devote, I mean, what I feel is one needs to devote a little amount of time every day towards general studying.
mm.
So this
Okay.
is something which keeps you updated.
Right. So, do you have any extra things that you do except, studying law or anything else?
Well, yeah, the favorite pastime that I have is sleeping.
Okay.
That's the
As
favorite
well.
pastime. I look forward for a weekend that is a Saturday and a Sunday wherein I get those additional hours of sleep. And then
Okay.
yes, still I'll say I mean, one of my good hobbies is I like to chill out with friends. I aim to go out with them on small vacations, and all those people, my partners and my colleagues.
Mm,
Whenever we get time, we look out for a short trip, maybe a 2-3 days trip we can manage. And then being being into this field of law, I mean, I think, I mean, almost all lawyers wait for that holiday break, that apart from that December or the June break that we get, that is the summer and the winter break.
mm,
Everyone looks for those 2-3 breaks of a Diwali holiday, the share holiday,
mm,
wherein everyone can go relax with friends, relax with family. So this
mm.
is what something I like to enjoy.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I saw a video of yours where you were talking about women's rights to maintenance, and you've also published a book on the topic of women and how the female feticide in India. So I was thinking that why does this field, why are you talking about this field a lot, like women rights and everything? Does that motivate you, or does
Well,
that something like compels you or something?
well, if you talk about female feticide, that topic has been very close to my heart.
Oh.
Uh, how I got into this field, or how I started researching upon female feticide, is a short incident I want to narrate. The
Right.
incident is that while I was interning with Luthra and Luthra law offices, that was
Mm,
sometime in 2012, 11, 12. I
mm,
did a brief 40 days internship with Luthra and Luthra law offices at their Barakhamba office.
mm.
And I was associated with a lady called Miss Sujata Balachandar. She
Okay.
was a senior associate with them. And I was working with her on a particular topic which related to the Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act.
Okay.
And that was an ongoing matter. Obviously, I cannot share the name due to confidential purposes. So
Mm,
while I was doing that, I did a lot of research on that topic. Subsequently, what I found was that there are not various judgments on this topic
mm,
in India. This is a topic which still has loopholes. wherein the accused persons or the people who are at fault, they use that benefit for uh, acquitting themselves in the matter. There are certain, there are certain clarifications that the legislature needs to give in this field of law. So, I mean, while I was doing the research for that matter, I did extensive research for a good about a week or 10 days on that. Subsequent to that, I developed that idea that once I've done something on this, and this is a topic wherein a lot needs to be done. So then I consulted a couple of publishers. I spoke with them as to how do you write a book, read a couple of books as to how do you write up, what is the write up, how do you put across your views and stuff. And then finally, I started working on this topic. So in fact, first what I did was I wrote a dissertation on the particular topic of female feticide in my final year. Subsequent to that, I extended the dissertation, molded it as per the standards of the book. And then I was fortunate enough to have published a book on female feticide. And all the more, I would like to give warm, I would like to thank and give warm regard to my senior, Mr. Vishwanathan Shekhar, who helped me out in felicitation of my book from the then Chief Justice of India, Justice H.L. Dattu.
Okay.
And I was I was the youngest author of the Supreme Court Bar Association to have written a book at the age of 26.
Wow.
So I was even felicitated for that on the Law Day, which is celebrated every year in the Supreme Court.
Right.
Subsequent to that, I was really pumped up after I got my first book published. I was really pumped up to write another one. But till date, I haven't got a chance. I haven't managed my time well to have written a second book.
Okay. But if you had to write one, what topic would you write about?
I wanted to write something. I actually started writing a book on, it was something of a digest on industrial law, because that was something I've done throughout, labor, industrial laws, and employment matters. So I wrote a preface of that book, but subsequent to that, it involved a lot of efforts. But seeing my time schedules and seeing my working patterns, I could not have actually managed time. I would rather say, I'll not say I didn't get time, but I didn't manage my time well for writing a book.
Okay.
So maybe, one day I'll finish up writing that book, maybe another 2 years, 3 years, and then I'll come up. So
I was listening to a webinar where the person was saying that labor laws is something which people are not very interested in getting in because it's not very glamorous of a field.
No, see, it's not about being glamorous. See, you have two ways to look at it. So if you appear for the management, I mean, see, labor industrial disputes, labor industrial disputes were prominent in the year 1970s, 80s, 90s, and maybe early 2000s. Subsequent to that, everything has been streamlined. And I mean, the state governments and the central government have time again got notifications and beneficial legislations for the people who are employed in industries or probably with the companies or, and then, the concept of trade union has diluted now. I mean, earlier there was a lot of stronghold of the trade union that they used to have on workers and laborers. But subsequent to that, as time has elapsed, I mean, there has been a lot of, the concept has actually diluted of trade unionship. And then, it's not very interesting if you say, for the very reason that if you are appearing for the management, definitely, yes, you are getting a good fees for that. I mean, the managements pay a handsome amount to you. But if you appear for an individual worker, not many people come forward for appearing for an individual worker, maybe for a set of workers, because you don't get handsomely paid.
Right.
And secondly, I mean, the practice that one used to have in the field of labor industrial laws in 2000 maybe, he will not have the same practice in the year 2020. So now it's more of opinion-based work that has come across. I mean, someone wants to lay off, retrench. So everyone does in a phased manner now. All big companies have to lay off and retrench. Earlier, what happened that they used to terminate and the other person used to go and challenge his termination and stuff like that. But now, it is being done in a phased manner. The contracts of employment are based on such, are prepared on such basis that, if the company has to remove someone today or terminate him from employment, they will follow the due process of law. So, I mean, they are also guided well by their in-house counsels who work for that. So, therefore, this field, I mean, now, I mean, I only see why someone wants to practice this. If me as an individual has a couple of matters to be done in the industrial dispute, to be done under industrial dispute, I would rather do it a pro bono matter for myself, and I would rather help out the poor. Because I mean, what can you fetch out of an employee who has been terminated or who has been denied salary? This is what something I would look at now.
Okay. So again, asking you that, what made you choose your expertise? Those three things that I talk about: civil law, matrimonial law, and employment laws. So what made you choose that?
See, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I have still not chosen my expertise.
Okay.
After almost about putting in 8 years into this profession, I would rather say that I have a little knowledge. I would not say I have knowledge. I have a little knowledge over the fields that I have explained it. Maybe when it comes to civil law, maybe once it comes to matrimonial laws, or maybe once it comes to the employment laws. If you talk about criminal law, I've done a little criminal law, but I'm not very comfortable doing that criminal law because that is something which I've worked the least. I've not handled many bail matters. I've not done criminal trials. But as far as, civil trials are concerned, or as far as how do you put as far as matrimonial trials are concerned, matrimonial matters are concerned, these are some fields wherein I've done independent matters. I'm doing independent matters. I have done a lot of research on them. So this, these are the fields where I have gained a little knowledge, but there's much more to come. So, even today, if you ask me to prepare for a webinar, so I have to do a study of about 7 to 10 days, looking in depth about what the subject is all about, what the topic is all about, where did it start from, what are the judicial pronouncements and stuff like that. So one has to prepare for it. So it cannot be an extempore webinar that one can have.
Okay.
But these three fields are something which I have been working in for the last 8 years. So therefore, you might call them a little expertise of mine, but then I'm still learning in these fields as well.
Okay.
So, if you are talking from an aspect or from a perception of a law student in the initial years of profession, or maybe at the stage where I am in, wherein I put in more than 7 years into the profession, my 8th year currently running around. One should take up all matters. This is what my personal belief is. There are issues, there are questions which even I face today after putting in 7 years into the profession, wherein I have to research, I have to seek guidance of my seniors, I have to seek guidance of my fellow colleagues as to what approach should I have. So, you learn every day. That is what I say. Law is something what you learn every day. So, once I get a case brief, if I know that, it's very comfortable for me for putting across a matter. But if I'm unaware about that topic, I also put in, because once a client enters your office, you can't stay much.
Right.
No one would like to do that. So if today I practice majorly civil, if someone comes to me, says, this is one civil matter that you can handle for me, I also have another criminal matter what you can handle for me. So I can't say him a no.
Yeah.
So definitely, yes, I take up his brief. I start studying on that topic. Yes, I need reference. I need guidance of my seniors, my colleagues in that topic. But then, yes, definitely, it's always the first time.
Exactly.
So, once I go through that, maybe subsequently someone comes for that particular issue again to me, I would be much more comfortable addressing it. So one must be open to exploring all avenues.
Right.
And one must always aim to practice in all forums, at least for some initial period of his life. And it's very important for young lawyers and young, law students who are just coming out of law college to go and experience what trial is. This is my personal suggestion to all the law students who have just graduated and enrolled themselves. They should at least experience trial for good 2 years.
Okay.
Because that's a place wherein the file is actually built up.
Okay.
What exactly is a plaint? What exactly is a written statement? What exactly is evidence? How do you lead evidence? How do you cross-examine a witness? That is all something what one can learn from the trial.
Right.
So it's very necessary for everyone to put across 2.5 years into the trial.
Right.
Subsequent to that, practice in the High Court, practice in the Supreme Court. And I'm pretty sure once someone puts in across 7 to 10 years into this field, he or she knows where he has to practice. What is actually going to be his forte.
Okay.
So one chooses wisely after he puts in and after he gains a little knowledge about this field.
So I was thinking, does everybody need to have a mentor for getting better in this field, or like,
See,
for a baseline?
see, I would definitely say I was blessed to have a couple of good mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, yes, one needs to have a mentor in this field.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, yes, it's also about the zeal that one has towards this profession.
Mm-hmm.
One has to fetch his own way in this profession. Definitely, you need guidance, you need support, you need the push rather to move into this field. But the more efforts that you put in, the more hard work that you put into this field,
Mm-hmm.
the better chances of success or fruits that you have in this field.
Right.
So you just need someone who can put you on that track, and then you have to slowly and steadily go across that track.
Right.
And then one can fetch his own avenues. I'm pretty sure on that. This
So
is
you
what
need
I
the
have the
training
confidence.
wheels before you can actually ride the cycle.
Absolutely, absolutely. You need to test yourself in that water before you actually start swimming. So the first
Right.
5 years are basically testing period for you.
Right.
And
Right.
after that, you start swimming. But then, I mean, when that time gap comes about, when that time frame comes about, you're put in 10 years and you're moving towards your 15. That is the third step of the ladder as per me. That is actually the time when there would be things that would be coming across to you, and you need to learn to battle across through that.
Okay.
The first is, the first phase of 5 years, I would rather say you're testing waters.
Mm-hmm.
The second 5 years is when you actually started doing swimming, but there is no hurdle coming across your way.
Okay.
Actually, the next 3 years, I would rather say, is when you'll have to swim, go across to the hurdles. And
Mm-hmm.
after 15 years, you're put into litigation. This is what my personal experience is. Maybe I can be wrong. But after 15 years, once you put into this profession, then it's a smooth ride. Then
Okay.
it's all about making a name for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
making making a mark for yourself in this field.
Mm-hmm.
And then every day, hard work is the key.
Right.
There's no shortcut to success. This is what I've learned. This is
Mm-hmm.
what my personal experience. There is no shortcut to success.
Mm-hmm.
The more
Right.
you put in, the more dedicated you are towards this field, the better results you will have.
Right.
So this is what I would even advise to the young generation. Don't lose hope. It's easy to say for me sitting here in an interview with you and saying that don't lose hope. I have also lost hopes. There have been struggling times for me also in this profession,
Mm-hmm.
while switching jobs or probably while going independent. These have been testing time for me also. But just believe in God, do
Mm-hmm.
your hard work, and keep moving. That's what I'll suggest.
Right. Many of my seniors from my college or from VIPS itself that I know, there are some seniors who are actually telling me that I have gone into depression. I'm losing hope because I'm at the fifth year
Yeah.
or I'm in the fourth year and I'm not able to understand what will I do in the future. So this thing is going to be very helpful for them because it actually shows that how your journey actually starts after law school instead of, so.
I will still answer your query in a line. Even if you are in your final year, this is your college life. You don't have to be depressed about what you're going to do tomorrow. For
Mm-hmm.
whatever little time that you have left with now, experience yourself by interning at a trial court, by interning at a state high court, by interning in a law firm,
Right.
so that you have a fair idea as to how things function in each field.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that fair idea, you will actually have that little confidence of taking that next step, ki whether I'm made for a law firm,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is my cup of tea, or whether I want to practice independently, or whether I want to join as an in-house counsel.
Mm-hmm.
These are some things what one needs to analyze himself,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely, yes, seeing the circumstances. But yes, I am very positive. I've seen my colleagues, I've seen people in this field who practice majorly before the Supreme Court or before the Delhi High Court, do not have their roots from Delhi, have come few years back, established themselves here in Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
and have been working and have made a substantial name for themselves.
Right.
I mean, for someone like me, I have a little added advantage that I belong to Delhi.
Mhm.
I have my family staying in Delhi.
Mhm.
I have a financial support from them. But for
Mhm.
someone who has independently come down
Mhm.
from a new state,
Mhm.
established himself in Delhi, and is
Mhm.
doing good for him, that's the inspiration we should all look at.
Right, exactly.
So it takes a little time. You have to be patient, I'll again say, but then you will make a mark for yourself if you are hardworking.
Mm.
And you
Right.
still have time, even if you are in the fifth year of college, there is nothing. See, I actually do not idolize or I do not believe in the concept of depression.
Mhm.
For me, that word is inexistent.
Mhm.
There might be different anxiety levels that a person has. I also might have a little anxiety level in me.
Mhm.
Maybe you as an individual have a much more or much less anxiety levels in you, but every person has a little anxiety level in it. So
Okay.
once that anxiety level goes on an increase, I would rather say that is depression. But depression is also not the word that needs to be used. It's a little anxiety, it's a little more anxious or anxiety that you are.
I can hear you now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see you now. You
So,
got
so, I
cut
mean,
into.
it's a little, when the anxiety levels go up, people usually term it as depression, but there's nothing called depression. So you'll have to struggle out throughout your life,
Mhm.
maybe in this field, maybe on your personal front, maybe on your professional front. But then you
Mhm.
will have to sail across. You'll have to make your way for it, and you have to go.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. If you're in the sea, then if you're already in the sea, then why not swim?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I do not say that, you will always have difficulties in your professional front. You
Mhm.
might have difficulties at your personal front
Right.
also, but then you need to strike a balance and keep
Mhm.
moving. That's how you ride a cycle. You'll have to
Mhm.
make a balance and you have to keep on moving. So
Yeah.
that is how you'll have to manage things and move across.
Hmm. And you can also always ask for help from your colleagues or your classmates or your family anytime you want. In any case, you
Absolutely.
are feeling
Absolutely.
something
You
like
can
that.
always go up to your friends, look up to them, discuss with them, go up to your family, discuss things with them. This is the problem that I'm facing, and you'll have to be vocal about it. There's
Mhm.
nothing to shy away that people, your close friends or your family members are gonna come across, know your problems, and then they are gonna make a mockery about it. You
Mhm.
have to be candid about it. Nothing wrong, because every one of us is struggling with some or the other problem.
Exactly. Right.
Someone on his professional front, someone on his personal front, someone on his family front. Everyone has some or the other problem that is going on.
Mhm.
Everyone has to deal with it and go and keep moving.
Right. So, okay. So, I'm just going to end with this now on
Yeah.
a very good note. And so, I wanted to ask you that what lies in the future for you? As we ask all our, people here. So, what lies in the future for you?
See, if you personally ask me, I've been putting in these efforts, and definitely, yes, what I aim or aspire is to make up for a senior designation in future.
Mhm.
That is what I aim and aspire for. Baki, let's see. What I can do is only put in efforts, put in my hard work, and be dedicated towards the profession.
Mhm.
Rest, I have faith in God, and I believe in God. Whatever He has for me in destiny, that's gonna come across.
Right.